Get started now. So, in looking at the quiz, the last vestige that's presenting a problem for a number of people is number 3. We gave you guys the opportunity to talk about numbers 1, 2, and 4, and now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about number 3. The correct answer to number 3 is choice B, R. Okay?
I had that, and you marked it wrong.
Did you? All right, show it to me at the end, and I'll correct it. Now, here's the thing. Why did a number of people choose T? I'm wondering if it was because the answer the other day was T. Is that why you did it? Or what was it about letter T that made you choose that choice? Just guessed because you didn't know? I'm not sure. Okay, let me explain to you why R is the proper choice. Now, first off, I think just about every person, there's 11 people in the class, at least 9 of you, maybe all 11 of you, got number 1 right. Now, in the explanation for number 1, you all referenced, or just about every person referenced, the vertical line test. So we're looking really good as far as number 1 goes. Which of the following graphs does not represent a function? And you guys knew it was choice D. And the vertical line test says that if it touches 2 or more times, it's not a function. Now, let's talk for just a second about why that is so. Okay, we're going to talk about this again a little bit later in the period to come back to it again, but the reason that a vertical line test works, and the answer to the one on the test looks something like this. Let's say that this is the point 2, 2, and this is the point 2, negative 2. Well, if I was to write a table with x and y, that means that one of the answers would be 2, 2, and one of the answers, or one of the input-output pairs would be 2, 2, and one of the input-output pairs would be 2, negative 2. See, it fails the vertical line test because every input has to have a unique, only one output. In this case, on the vertical line test, if the input is 2, the output could be both 2 and negative 2. That's not a function. Now, if I was to take the same information and rather than draw a graph, Jennifer, you with me here? Rather than draw a graph, I was to attempt to make a table, it would be 2, 2, and 2, negative 2. So notice, in a table, the one that's not a function is if the same number appears twice in the inputs. I don't care about the outputs. I only care about the inputs. Okay? So that's the one. Now, if I look at Q, R, S, and T, which one of those tables has an input element that appears twice? Right, it's table R because negative 1 appears twice. Here it is, a negative 1 and a negative 1. So R, or choice B, is the answer we're looking for, okay? So all you need to do is look for that and understand that if I was to graph this, okay, at negative 1, I would get negative 5, and I'd also get 7, and when I drew that, I would touch twice, once here and once here. So that's why you can't have a domain element, namely negative 1, come out with 2 things. Now, there's actually, if we could go a little bit further on Talia's explanation of a function the other day. Now, remember, Talia was pretty graphic. And what she said was that an example of a function was our excretory system. If she drank orange juice, what was the output? Go ahead, you could say it. PP, right? So if the input was orange juice, the output was PP. So let's create a little table here, a table called the excretory function.
Oh my god.
And then we have input, and we have output. And the input would be orange juice, and the output would be PP. And that is a good function. Now, is there anybody here who, when they drink orange juice, makes caca? Is there anybody who does that? No. Do we all understand that if you drink orange juice, you only get PP? Are we clear on that point? It would not be a function. Something weird would be going on if you drank orange juice and got out poo-poo. That would not be a function. The excretory, what? Function. Input gives you output. Now, if you ate chocolate chip cookies, could you make caca?
Oh, God.
Yes! If you eat chocolate chip cookies, you're gonna make caca. If you eat chocolate chip cookies, are you gonna make pee pee? No, you're not gonna make pee pee. You're gonna make caca. So, orange juice pee pee, caca, chocolate chip cookies caca, that's fine. Things get screwed up if we make chocolate chip cookies or we eat chocolate chip cookies and we make pee pee. If you eat only chocolate chip cookies and you make pee pee, you need to go to the doctor. There is a problem going on. Now, if you drink orange juice and you make caca, there is a problem going on. But if you drink orange juice and make pee pee, and you eat chocolate chip cookies and make caca, that's fine. That's very good. One input, one output. Something is wrong, one input, two outputs. Okay? Are we clear now about the excretory function and what goes on there? Okay, very good. So, we have straightened that out in its entirety. All right. Up. Now we talk about today's do it. And you know, there's a tendency sometimes, as I look around the room, for certain people to have not done their do it. Now, I don't want to hear about your eating. You eat after the do it is done. I certainly don't allow you to come in here and have an orange so that you could not do your work. Are we clear on that? Now, here's the thing about the do it. Everything laces together. There are certain key points we have to hit all the time. And if we're not hitting them in the quiz, we're hitting them in the do it. If we're not hitting them in the do it, we're hitting them in the homework. Sometimes we're hitting them in all three because they're so important. And let's give you some examples here. Volume of 1 cube. This scientific notation is all over the state test. Not that you have to take the state test. You're allowed to opt out. You can do that if you want. That's your business. I will never get upset with you if you opt out. 8 times 10 to the 9th, 2 times 10 to the 6th. How many people opted out last year? 1, 2, 3?
At my
I'm
old school,
opting
they had
out
this
again.
thing that it was like, it wasn't a real test, but it was for something at the school. And I opted out of that one, but the other one you're not allowed to.
Oh, you are very much allowed to opt out of the state test by law.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so if you came in and you said, Mr. Lindquist, I don't want to take the state test, all I'm gonna tell you to do is get a letter. Have your mom sign a piece of paper saying you don't have to take the state test. You don't have to take it.
My mom's already sent one in.
Yeah, I'm sure. Lots of parents do that. And you are more than welcome to send in letters or whatever you want to do. It's not a problem at all. But if you end up taking the state test, you have to be prepared for scientific notation questions. They ask tons of these questions. So the volume of 1 cube is 8 times 10 to the 9th, and the volume of a second cube is 2 times 10 to the 6th. How many times bigger is the first and the second? Well, here's the thing. I suggest that you do the question without scientific notation first, see how to do it, and then go back and do it with scientific notation. So forget the times 10 to the whatever. The volume of 1 cube is 8. The volume of a second cube is 2. How many times bigger is the big one than the small one? 4, right? Because 2 times 4 is 8, or more to the point, 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now let's go back and do the same thing, but let's throw in the scientific notation.
So this is the part that messed me up.
Right, and that's why you just learn how to do it with the regular numbers and then bring along the scientific notation. 8 divided by 2 is what? 4. What do we do to the exponents in this problem? Subtract, good. So it's 4 times 10 to the 3rd. Now, which of these choices is equivalent to 4 times 10 to the 3rd? 4, 40, 400, or 4,000? Which one?
But I have a question. I got.
Hold on, first let me get the answer, then we'll go to your question. Which one? 4, 40, 400, 4,000. Which one equals 4 times 10 to the 3rd? 4,000, good. What's 10 to the 3rd? It's 10 times 10 times 10. What's 10 times 10? 100 times another 10. 1,000. And then 1,000 times 4 is 4,000. Okay, Talia, go ahead. Or did you just answer your question for yourself?
I thought 10 to the 3rd would equal 30, so then
No, that's 10 times 3. You with me on that? 10 to the 3rd is not 10 times 3. 10 to the 3rd is 10 times 10 times 10. Okay? Any other questions? Are we good? Gabby, Arlene, we're looking good? Okay. Which of the following could be the graph of y equals 5? You guys have already seen. If I forget to put the graphs on there, just sketch what it might look like. It could look like that. Which is the equation of a line whose slope is 2 and whose y-intercept is -3? That's choice B. Okay. Again, those should be These are review kind of questions, but they're questions that you're going to see on that state test. I very much like to put questions on the do it that you're going to see, bless you whoever sneezed, that you're going to see on the state test and that you're going to see on your final exam at the end of the year, okay? Now, number 4 is a question. Again, this is why it's so important to get these do-its done. The other day, I gave you a test. And on the test, it stunned me, absolutely stunned me, how many kids got this question wrong. That was like this question that we're doing now, number 4. So if you don't do your do-it, then you're never gonna get a chance to go over the mistake that we made as a group way too often. This is a Papa's Bucket principle question. And in one bucket should go your x squareds, in another bucket should go your x's, and in the last bucket should go your numbers. Now, what is 4x squareds plus another x squareds? Everybody? 4x squared plus another x squared?
2.
5x squared. Okay, now, that's this bucket. Another term for this is combining like terms. You want to combine them and get the things that are alike together. What's a positive x? Oh, there's nothing to go with that, so it's just positive x. And -8 and -9 is -17. Now, I apologize for the fact that none of the choices is correct. But, do you know what the people did on the test? They did answers like these. 6x squared minus 17. -11x squared.
Well, I don't get it. How do you
Me either. What they did was they combined these. See, they did 5x squared plus 1x is 6x squared. Or sometimes they put 6x cubed.
But I thought you can't.
You can't add them. They're different things. If I say to you, what is a hippopotamus plus 2 more hippopotamus? 3 hippopotamus. But if I say, what's 2 hippopotamus plus 3 giraffes, what is that?
A hippo and.
Hippos and giraffes, they're different things, okay? You can't combine them. So, 6x cubed is not possible. That's the combining here. If I multiply, I can multiply. I could do 5x squared times x pardon me, 5x to the third. That I could do. But I'm not multiplying here. I'm adding, and adding things have to go in their own buckets. The x squareds go in the x squared bucket. The x's go in the x bucket. The x bucket never gets mixed with the x cubed bucket, or x squared bucket. They're all separate buckets. All right, so we need to be prepared for that. What's the output if the input's -2? The output becomes -1. Choice C. -2 times -2 is 4. 4 minus 5 is -1. Any questions? Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about what is a function and what is not a function and so on and so forth. The way we're going to talk about that now is we're going to get into the square root function. I'm kind of using that term loosely here. It's more of a relation. Y equals the square root of x plus 2. So the square root of a number is a number that times itself equals the number. For instance, a very famous square root. What's the square root of 100? I'm saying to you, what number times itself equals 100? What's the square root of 100?
50.
Not 50, 10. 50 times 50 is not 100, but 10 times 10 is 100.
Oh, I get it.
The square root's not half, it's the number that times itself. Now, interestingly enough, -10 also works. Isn't it true that -10 times -10 is 100? Okay, here's one that a lot of kids know. What's the square root of 144?
12.
12, good. What else could it be possibly? -12. All right, so let's take that idea and let's apply it now to Sticky the Stickman and his function, the square root of 2. Let's go through this step by step. If I give Sticky a 4, what's the square root of 4, everybody? 2. And what's 2 plus 2? 4. But when I said what the square root of 4 is, there's actually 2 possible outputs. Not only is 2 the square root of 4, what else is the square root of 4? -2. Good. Now let's hand them, I'm sorry, -2, and then I have to add 2. -2 plus 2 is 0. Let's hand them a 1. What's the square root of 1? What number times itself is 1? No. Number times itself is 1. 1. 1 times 1 is 1. So the square root of 1 is 1, plus 2 makes 3. But isn't it also possible that the square root of 1 is -1? Right? So what's -1, if -1 comes out of this, what's -1 plus 2? positive 1. And last but not least, what's the square root of 0?
Well, you got me messed up.
What's the square root of 0? 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. Look, what I'm saying is this. The square root of 1 is the number that times itself as 1. That's 1.
But how are you supposed to know if you're supposed to do negatives or positives?
Excellent question. Square root of 1 could also be negative 1. As you get a little bit more along in algebra, there's a little notation you're going to learn about. But what I want you to notice is this. If I drew this as a picture, okay, remember my point here is to teach you about what's not a function. If I drew a picture, I would have 4, 1, 0, and then 4, 0, 3, 1, 2. It would look like this. Okay? Notice, when we look at it as a picture, this is not a function. Because, look at the table. Doesn't the 4 repeat itself? Doesn't the 1 repeat itself? What if I drew it as a graph? If I drew this as a graph, I would get 4, 4, 4, 0, 1, 1, 1, 3, and 0, 2. So here would be my graph.
And that's not a function.
Right, because what does it fail, everybody?
The line test.
The vertical line test. It would go through these points with 4 twice. So it would fail as a function. So one way is a vertical line test. Another way to notice it is if I repeat the 4 or I repeat the 1 in the table, that means it's not going to be a function. Or if I do a 4 here and I have 2 different lines coming off of it. You know what that's a lot like? I hate to come back to it. That's a lot like if I put orange juice in the domain and I put PP and caca in the range. Can I have orange juice going to both PP and caca?
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
If it's wrong, then why are we taking our time?
What I want you to do is to understand how to recognize something that's not a function. The way we recognize it is a number in the domain goes to 2 different numbers in the range. In the table, the 4 repeats or the 1 repeats. What about if I listed this as a set of ordered pairs? I could go 4, 4, 4, 0, 1, 3, 1, 1, 0, 2. Is that a function? Is this a function, yes or no? Jennifer, is this a function? Why is it not a function? The input goes 2 times. There we go, the thingy. The input thingy, all right? It goes 2 times, very good. All right, so we've got the vertical line test. We can look at the picture. Does a domain element have 2 different images? Does a domain element have 2 different things it gets mapped onto in the range? Does an X or an input element appear twice on a table? Does it appear twice when I list it as a set of ordered pairs? Those are all ways of recognizing that a relation is not a function. Okay, so that was the first thing that I wanted you to understand in today's lesson. Now the second thing is about real life functions. Now, people go to college to learn a lot of different things. And one of the things that math does is it teaches you what real world applications. Just before we do a real world application, take a look at this. Tell me which of these 3 choices is not a function. Or there may be more than one. There may be 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 of them are not functions. Just take a look and figure out which one is not a function. And then
I already got it.
tell me what. All right, Leah, which one's not a function?
B,
B. Why is B not a function?
because 2 of the inputs are 1.
Very good. The 1 and the 1 make it not a function. What about A? Is A a function? Yes or no, everybody? Yes. What about C? No. Why is C not a function?
Because it doesn't stand.
Fails vertical line test. Good, okay. So now, as I was saying about college, when you go to college, you learn about ways to make money for businesses, how to run a business. And this is a simplistic question, but the thought process is very similar to what you actually do. So let's talk a little bit about how to make money. Let's do real world applications. If there's one thing that the Common Core is very big on, it's real world applications. They love to do it all the time. Jenny wants to start a business making websites. This is a very realistic kind of business. When you go to the high school, how many of you guys signed up for the computer classes? No, I think a lot of you did. I think like 6 of you did.
In here?
No, remember we filled out the program, the schedule thing for next year, and I said how many people here want to take business classes or computer classes? All right, maybe, yeah, there was the one with robotics, and then there was the one with website design.
Robotics is new.
Okay, my son took the website design one. He may have also taken robotics, I don't remember that, but I know he took the website design one. And my brother-in-law owns a DJ business, entertainment, parties, that kind of thing, and he wanted to create a website. So it was pretty involved, and my son Jimmy actually designed the website for him, and he got paid $350
For a website.
to make a website, yes. So if you learn these skills, you get paid money to make websites. So this is a very realistic problem. Jenny, right? That we could shorten Jennifer to Jenny, wants to start a business making websites. It costs her $50 for a license to do this, and it costs her $725 for supplies. Maybe she has to buy some software, okay? Each website she creates earns her a profit, or I should say an income, of $125.
You gotta be Jenny.
Here you go, that's why you take these classes. Now, we have two variables here, we have a W and we have a P. Which one is input, the W or the P? W, good. Which is the output? P. Very good. So, input is W, output is P. Write a function rule that shows the profit Jenny earns with each, it says teach, but it should be each, with each website she creates. Okay, so the profit, the output is, how much money does she get for every website she creates? 125. So if she makes one website, she takes in $125. What if she makes two websites? 250. 10 websites, 1,250. So it's 125 times the number of websites, but didn't it cost her some money to get started?
Yeah.
And don't we have to take away that amount of money that she starts with? Right? So what are we gonna subtract? How much? I think it's more than 725.
775.
775. Now Talia, how did you get 775 instead of 725?
I had the 50 to 7.
Right? She has to do two things. She has to do a license and supplies. So she has to add up the 725 and the 50 for 750. This, guys, is your function rule. The profit is 125 times the number of websites minus $775. So now, let's put it into the table. If I plug in a 0, what's 125 times 0?
0.
0. Minus 775. What do I get?
Negative 7.
Negative 775. Good. Okay, let's put in a 1 now. If I hand in a 1, what's 125 times 1? 125. 125 minus 775 is negative 650. What if we plug in a 2? What's 125 times 2? 250. 250 minus 775 is negative 525. Now, she still hasn't made any money, but it's getting better, right? What if we plug in 3? What's 125 times 3? 375. 375 minus 775 is minus 400.
Is it always a pattern like that?
Definitely, with a linear function. And linear means no squares, cubes, or anything like that. No square roots. What about if I plug in an 8?
What?
Does anybody know what 125 times 8 is?
Is it negative 400?
Yeah, there is a negative there. It's very small. But there is a negative. Does anybody know what 125 times 8 is?
Okay, wait.
It is 1,000. Very good.
Oh.
And then 1,000 minus 775
I got it.
is $225. So by the time she hits the 8th one, she's made 225 bucks. Okay? Any questions on those?
But wouldn't it be 325? Because of the pattern?
No, look, it changes. 0, 1, 2, 3, 8. If it would have went 4, then it would keep the pattern up. But if I jump a bunch, then you have to reevaluate, okay? All right, so keep that table in mind. I might need that. I have to scroll up, and I don't know what information I need from that table, okay? How many websites does Jenny have to sell in order to make a profit? That means a positive amount of money. Now, we know if she sells 8 websites, she's gonna make some money. What if she only sells 7 websites? What if she sells 6? How many does she have to sell to be a positive amount of income? Figure it out. If she sells 5, is it positive? If she sells 6, is it positive? If it's 7, as soon as we come to a point where we get a positive number out of this, We know she's making money. Go ahead, figure it out.
Wait, so would we use the table that we was doing?
Yeah, but you see how it jumped from a negative to a positive and it went from 3 to 8? Some number in between is gonna make it become positive. I need you to look at your tables, plug in the numbers in between 3 and 8, and find out which one makes it become positive for the first time. Is it 4? Is it 5? Is it 6? Is it 7? Which one will create a positive outcome? The first positive outcome, the smallest positive outcome. Shanna, what do you think? I think it's 6 too. Let's plug in a 6 and see. We said our function was that the profit is 125 times the websites minus 775 it was? Right? Okay, so if I plug in a 6, I get 125 times 6 minus 775. That's gonna be 600, is that 750? 6 websites, 125 times 6? Yeah, that's gonna be 750 minus 775. That's negative 25, she still hasn't made a profit. Okay, let's try 7. 125 times 7 minus 775. 125 times 7 would be 700, would be, well, this is strange. Yeah, the 87, yeah, this is working out right. The 875 minus 775, which is $100. So she has to sell 7 websites to make a positive amount of money. At 7 websites, she's made $100. At 8 websites, she's made $225, and then it keeps building from there, okay? It's like if you cut lawns. At your age, you cut lawns more than you make websites. So if you cut lawns, you gotta buy the lawnmower and you gotta buy the gas. After you pay off the lawnmower and the gas, everything starts becoming money. All right, now I have 2 questions for you to talk to somebody sitting around you and figure out. Go ahead, the 2 teamwork questions. Talk to each other. Well, if you make websites, aren't you gonna sell a bunch?
That's a lot.
If you get a website to sell websites, you could sell 1,000 websites. And you could charge a lot more than $125 a website. You could charge $400 or $500 a website.
People would really buy a website for that much money?
Oh, God, yeah.
That's crazy.
I'm in the process of doing it now. I wanna create a website, sell my puppies.
A website? That's on a computer, that's not in real life.
I have to create the website so that people who do a Google search can find out about my puppies. That'll be available hopefully in the fall. And then
You're
they'll,
selling your dog?
yeah, we're gonna breed Ziva to another dog. And I'm gonna hopefully have 8, 9, or 10 puppies to sell. And I can only sell some of them around here. Other ones are gonna buy them from all over the country, maybe even Europe. So that will give us,
How do you know if the families are nice though?
well then, I'm gonna have an application form they have to fill out. And they're gonna send me pictures of their house showing me they have a fenced-in backyard. If they don't have it, they can't buy a dog. So, but I will absolutely have a website. I will be building that website. Ziva should go into heat in the next couple of weeks. As soon as she gets out of heat,
What's he?
heat is when a girl dog could get pregnant.
Oh.
So then, as soon as she's out of heat, I will start creating a website, and then when we,
Won't she get more violent when she's in heat?
she got violent last time.
She already had puppies?
No, but she's been in heat before. She's been in heat once. This will be her 2nd time, and the 3rd time we're gonna make it. So,
Yeah, I would separate her from males.
oh, she will more, it's for the male's sake. She will more than stick up. She'll beat up the male.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Can we use a calculator?
I'd rather you not. I'd rather you use your brain on this. What's that?
Do you know what?
give me, oh, you know what, it's almost over. Let me go to the answers to these things. What's Jenny's profit if she creates 40 websites? Well, we have to do 125 times 40. I think that works out to be like 5,000.
Yes.
And then I gotta do 5,000 minus 775, which is 4225. Is that what you guys got? Right, 5,000 minus 775, and that is $4,225. And Jenny needs a profit of $1,275 in order to hire an assistant. How many websites does she need? Check this out, ready? Watch. Watch. What? 125p minus 775 equals 1275. We will finish this one up tomorrow because that's an excellent way to put this all together in terms of understanding. Hasta la vista. Vaya con Dios. Toodaloo. Ta-ta. Arrivederci. Smile a lot. Ciao. Arrivederci. Adios, amigos y amigas. Cheerio. Oh, you wrote the R. That, yeah, I was looking for the B. Okay, I'll change it now.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. Keep up the good work.